I had this old motel called the Cumberland Motel with some neat colors on the outside. I'm wondering if this will take anything. I'm gonna try it. All right, and that was my last shot. If you hear some rumbling over there, there's a food truck over there. Thinking about hitting that thing up. Hello everybody, welcome to another video on the YouTube channel. Appreciate you stopping by. So a couple of weeks ago I made a trip down to the town of Cumberland in far southeastern Kentucky, and I spent the morning taking a walk through town with the old Spartus Press Flash camera. So I made a previous video on that camera and talked a little bit about its history that I knew of at the time, but I always wanted to go back and load another roll of film in it and run a new roll of film, an unexpired roll of film that hadn't been sitting in a closet for decades, and just to see how that camera performs. I really love using old cameras like that. So this one in particular really intrigued me. I was really concerned that there wouldn't be a whole lot of light to work with that morning. Fortunately, that was not the case, and last week I got the roll back from State Film Lab in Louisville. Shout out to State Film Lab. They did a super great job of getting the film back to me, very timely. I sent it out on a Monday, got it back on the next Monday actually, so it was just a week, not too shabby at all, and the development was fine. It was really like Christmas. That day when I got back from work, checked the mailbox, that box was in there, and I pulled those negatives out, held them up to the light, and there were images on them. I was super relieved that I hadn't wasted a perfectly fine roll of Kodak Ektar on that. So anyway, I want to take a few minutes and go over the images that I was able to get, and if you watched that earlier video, you'll know that I messed up pretty badly. Oh, and actually advanced the film as I was loading it a little bit too far, and we're not going to get the first frame. It was all black. So I've been to Cumberland before, and I definitely had a few images in mind. This first one here that I'm showing you now definitely was not one of them. I actually pulled over on the side of the road beside the old Cumberland Motel and saw this image as I was loading the roll, and you know, this is a pretty interesting looking building. I look at it, the windows are boarded up. It's obviously not in use anymore. There's some caution tape strung across the front of it. There's a story to this building, I'm sure. I'm sure when it was brand new, it was just a nice little building, probably had a business in it. I wish I knew a little bit of the story on it, but I don't. But anyway, the fact that I don't kind of adds to the character of this whole image, because it just makes me kind of think about maybe what that story might be. Anyway, I really enjoyed this particular scene. Look at the leaves. You can see a little bit of the fall colors starting to come out in them. So it gives it not only a place, but a time as well. You can see in the bottom of the frame, just along the curve, there's a little bit of that light leak that I talked about in the last video. So the second image is probably my second favorite of the roll. The sign is what obviously is the main attraction for this particular image. This would actually be my favorite image of the roll. If talk a little bit about composition now. If that family dollar sign was not in the background, that's so distracting, and that would be a very easy Photoshop. It'd be something really easy to fix, I think, now that it's scanned in and digitized, but I'm probably not going to go and do that. Actually, I might go back and Photoshop that. Okay, I went back and Photoshopped it. That family dollar sign was just, oh, that was so irritating. Couldn't get over it. But anyway, compositionally, I really like this image. You've got I guess maybe it's like an old utility closet on the right. There's an old bucket inside, some unkempt grass. The sidewalk's starting to deteriorate a little bit. Obviously, this motel isn't open anymore, but I can imagine at one time it was kind of a nice place, you know. And just like the last building that I photographed, this motel has a story all its own, I'm sure. And I don't know how grand the story was, but you know, there's a story nonetheless. And I really enjoy I usually don't like power lines very much flowing through an image, but I think they lend something extra to this one. As a matter of fact, I don't mind them at all this time. Light leak in the top left, could do without that. So here's the third image of the roll. Talk a little bit more about composition in this one, and especially, you know, this old camera, it's got its quirks. If you're using a modern mirrorless camera or a modern DSLR, you're looking at exactly what the lens is seeing. You're looking at exactly the light that's going to be coming back and hitting the sensor. In this old camera, that's not the case at all. The viewfinder is offset to the left a bit. So you're not going to be getting exactly what the lens is seeing. And you're also not getting what would be, I guess, the equivalent of 100% viewfinder coverage. I don't know how much percentage you're getting, but compositionally, this one's a mess. Definitely would not have included that much brick to the right of the future town sign, but I think there's something to this one. I think I'm next time I'm in Cumberland, I'll probably revisit this one if there's some nice light. The front of this building, it's drawing a lot of interest to me. It's just the words future town there. I wonder what this building used to be. But anyway, let's move on. So anytime I'm driving through Cumberland, this is a particular scene that really captures my eye every single time. This church is just at the main end of the street before it veers to the left, and it's just an interesting looking building, I think, especially juxtaposed against the wilderness of the forest behind it, because I mean there's just hills. It's, Eastern Kentucky's like that. We're basically we're living in the forest. There's basically just a few areas where we've dozed off the land and cut a bunch of trees and built settlements and towns, and the rest of it's just forest, and it is absolutely fantastic for that, in my opinion. But anyway, I really like the way this church sits in front of the hill. The light here, though, it's not good. It doesn't look good at all compositionally. This church should be centered, I think. Like, this is something I could crop. This is a medium format camera shooting 6x9, so the negatives are absolutely massive. I'm not going to be losing a ton of pixels, I think, by doing that, but the light isn't enough to really warrant it. That car on the left's really distracting. This isn't a scene that I really enjoy very much, but we're going to be revisiting this particular scene here in a little bit, so we'll move on. This scene is just to the right of the church. You can actually see a little bit of the church on the left. This isn't my favorite image of the roll, even a little bit, but what it does do is give you just a really great example of why color film is still a very viable choice in a digital age. This is basically how I remember the color from that morning. That red on that car is just absolutely popping. The green in the grass is almost yellow with the sun hitting down on it. The gray of the sidewalks, it's super nice. The scene itself, it's pretty meh. It looks pretty neat when I was there. Yeah, it kind of is what it is. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Here's actually my favorite of the roll. So after I'd made the images of the cars, the sun obviously had crept out from behind a few clouds, and it was actually hitting at just a really great angle on this church, I thought. Not quite hit on, a little bit from the left, so nice little shadow from the left side of the church. But like I said, this is just a super interesting scene to me. Every time I see it, I want to stop and photograph it. So this time I actually had the opportunity to. Everything was kind of quite right for me, and even compositionally, this one works out for me. The crack in the road just kind of leads my eye from the bottom of the frame up into the yellow line, which leads my eye all the way to the church. The dark sky contrasting with the sunlight coming in from the left is super nice. The only thing that really kills it for me is that pesky light leak coming from the left of the frame. It's bugging me a little bit. That's actually something I could probably maybe fix with a little bit of burning. I don't know, a little bit of color correction on that side. Yeah, but it bugs me a little bit. The street light on the left sticking out there bugs me a tad bit too. I wonder if I could do a little edge patrol and clean that up in Photoshop and just fix that up real quick. I think that would probably be a better option for me. But for now, I'm not seeing these for the first time, but I haven't gone over them a whole lot. I've basically just scanned them in, did a quick conversion, quick look at them, and this is what we have right now. So yeah, like I said, cleaning that edge up in Photoshop probably wouldn't hurt. I don't think. I'm not such a purist that I won't remove a few things that are minor and distracting at the same time. So that leads us to the final image, and I had one frame left on the roll after I shot the church for the second time, and I was just driving back through Cumberland again looking for something that I thought would be interesting, and this actually caught my eye. This is actually just to the right of the old Cumberland motel that we photographed earlier. This is just a freestanding structure to the side of the motel where some additional rooms were located. I think it's pretty obvious what caught my eye on this one, just that color on the front of it, the green, blue, orange, and yellow. And there's just so many things going on that I like on this. I'm going to take it back. This is my favorite image of the roll, but there's so many things going on with it that I just find super enjoyable. I say the word character a lot when I talk about film photography, and this is a prime example of what you get with film photography, in my opinion, that you don't necessarily get with digital. I'm not knocking digital at all. I shoot it all the time. In fact, I shot this thing digitally as well, and I'll show you that in a second. But just to look at this particular image, It's got this real nice sort of vintage feel to it, because the lens in this this camera isn't the best lens. It's not the sharpest lens, but again, I think that lends itself to this image. It doesn't hurt at all. The more I look at this image, the more I enjoy it. You've got the parking lot with some of the grass growing up in it, these old rooms, but the color is still popping on it. You've got the hillside jutting up from the back, some dark clouds. You can see some fall colors starting to come through. There's just so much to take in. That pole right in the middle of the frame, which no doubt had I guess a dusk till dawn light on it, a parking light to illuminate the rooms at night. There's just so much going on it that I really like. And in fact, like I said, I pulled out my Canon and shot this image digitally as well, and here it is. Zoom into 100%. It's completely different experience. You start pixel peeping, but yeah, I just really enjoyed this whole scene. I don't know that I could get a better opportunity to shoot this particular scene just because of the clouds in the sky. To me, even in the film shot, the clouds are what makes it, because it's kind of this foreboding presence over this old motel. I shot this actually with my Canon 90D with the Tamron 24-70 lens. So that is the entire roll that I shot in Cumberland that day that I was not able to show you a couple of weeks ago. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate it. I hope you got something out of it. Hope you enjoyed the images. I certainly enjoyed making them. And yeah, hopefully I'll be able to make a few more videos over the next few weeks. And I appreciate you again sticking around. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Social media links in the description if you want to see some more work. If you have any thoughts or anything, leave them in the comments. I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, y'all.